Ladies and gentlemen, we're back with another pod. This is going to be a fun one. We got a joint pod. This might be the first joint pod we've ever had.
Join alert.
Teddy and Joe Rainville have some things to hash out here and things to discuss. I'm excited after all the sleeper chat we've seen. Up on the screen that they can't see right now is the picture of a tank. Teddy, you've been leading this charge. I'm just going to give you the floor. You start, buddy.
Oh, thank you. Perfect. Because look, I do want to make a statement at the start of this pod. All right. I was just chopping it up with Peaches for like 10 minutes. I got a lot of love and respect for Peaches. My whole intention here was to pretty much do a pod with Joey, just kind of talk about picks and players in general, talk about potential tanking and records and rebuilding. But I guess this all kind of started like, I'd say when the backup Patriots fullback got picked up, I was just like, I got to put some questions in the chat here. Like, what are we doing? So I guess, look, that's what I'm looking to just have a discussion here. So,
I mean, with some of these moves, like Larison, who some people got themselves excited for during like training camp, it's literally just I had an open IR spot and I try to shuffle all of my roster spots as often as I can to keep up with the times.
yep.
You dropped him already, so let me start there just real quick. Why was he already dropped?
So he was dropped because this morning I realized that Will Levis was on waivers, and I thought that he might have more value in my IR slot than Larison.
All right.
Ted, what do you think about
The reason I dropped
that?
him and Darnell Washington is because I dropped Larison first, and then I realized I couldn't pick up Will Levis directly into my IR.
Yeah.
So I had to go and drop another guy.
That's all right. I
can't imagine anyone's going to steal Darnell Washington from me, but I'll probably try to get him back.
That's
All
fair.
I guess I guess we could really kick this off. The whole like reason this is like been started, right? So I guess I do want to just ask you, like, why is Cam Scatterboo a top 10 running back on your bench through 6 weeks? I guess can we just start there?
The taxi squad.
Taxi squad.
So, with him being on the taxi squad, obviously it's a one-way street. You can add them to the taxi before the season starts, and you can remove them from the taxi, but you can't send them back. And so, initially, the reason he's on the taxi is just, I'm trying to maximize the amount of roster spots I have. And I'll agree, I probably should have pulled him up, like, I'd have to check his stats, but maybe like 2 weeks ago.
I'd say week 3, definitely after the Dallas.
I should have pulled him up, and so that one's on me. And it's funny because Matt and I were watching the game, and he's going off, and he's looking at my shit, and he's like, "Damn, you probably should have pulled him up." I'm like, "Yeah, I think it's about time." And then this was like literally 10 minutes before the chat started popping off, and I was like, "Oh crap."
Yeah.
But the reason I do that is to have the extra roster spots, and like I do have cases of where those extra roster spots have helped me. Like I picked up Mac Jones for no reason, and then all of a sudden he became important, and I was able to trade him and Darnell Washington, or who is
Waller, right?
Aaron Waller, and get a third-round pick. Like I just invented a third-round pick out of nothing, essentially. And you need the roster spots to do that. It's gritty work, but you know, you got to do it.
Look, man, what I kind of see here is like, because I'll be like totally honest. I think it's like 100%. And I feel like, too, like Scatterboo is a really good player. I know you're a big Giants fan. I think it's like so obvious he should be in the lineup week 3. And what I think happened here is finally you really had a chance to beat Caldera, which would have been massive for like the 6 and 7 seed in the playoffs. If you get a win on Caldera there, like that would have been huge. Like it would have helped a few people out. But what I think is
I would have beaten him had I called Scatterboo up. So you're right on that.
Yeah. So like
I don't disagree. I think I dropped the ball on this. I probably should have called him up 2 weeks earlier, and so that's a snafu for me.
But I think people are like saying stuff now because it was a big game with Caldera. Like, and realistically, people could have said something like weeks 3 through 5, but I didn't even. I had no idea you even had him. To be honest, like I did not know he was on your team. But so like, I guess just in general too, like I guess winning, man, because I feel like you have some good pieces on your team. Like with the tanking thing, do you know like wins don't hurt the draft odds, right?
Yeah, and other
Yeah,
than the Cam Scattaboo, and I guess you could argue Aronde Gadsden, but Gadsden had, like 4 points combined the last 2 weeks, and then he kind of popped off in week 6. I
yeah,
do set my lineup every week with the intention of getting the most points. Like I'm not I'm not trying to leave guys on the bench.
yeah. But what a couple weeks ago, who's that running back, Hunter Lube or something?
Dylan
Hunter
Luebe, you had
Lipke?
you.
Oh,
So
Dylan Laub.
when we played, Jalen Wright got ruled out, and instead of moving up Scattaboo, then you picked up Dylan Luebe or whatever the hell his name is. I don't even know if he's on your roster anymore. But instead of elevating Scattaboo, then you just picked up like a random who was on waivers, is what Teddy is referring to, or a free agent. So Teddy,
And
Yeah.
Teddy
I think
wants to
that's
know
fair
why
criticism.
why instead of elevating Scatabo then, because you had the roster spot, why Dylan?
So why Dylan in favor of Cam Scattaboo? I hadn't really thought of it at the time. I did just pick up Dylan because I thought he could score the most points out of the guys who were available on waivers.
all right. Look, and I don't want to look. We had a huge pod with the Rocket Sanders thing, but my whole, I guess the whole passion there was just like I feel like you could have got him for free like in January, and I know we talked about waivers a little bit. We used Jake Browning as an example, but like if you take a guy like Dylan Hunter Laub or whatever his name is, right? I always feel like there's going to be a player out there that can give you a floor of like 5 points. Obviously, not every week on waivers, but like there are examples. Like you take Prue's team. Prue fights every week to scrap up a win. All right, he gets Ryan Flournoy. He gets Isaiah Bond. Like those guys get 5 to 8 points, right? HP was just able to get this guy Chris Moore. Chris Moore, he's scored from like the 8 to 12 range, I think. He's like an okay player. That's why I'm like, if you have more waiver dollars, I think there's better stuff out there than like Lob or whatever. So it's just like, I feel like dude, if you get Scattaboo in the lineup and you get like one or two pieces, I'm not saying you're going to win every week, but I feel like you could beat anybody. But when you're playing guys like Lob and Johnson, who's just, you got to be patient, unfortunately, with him. I thought he'd be a lot better. I feel like if you get a couple guys that give you 6 to 8 points, and then like Tet, Brian Thomas, and Scattaboo pop off, you might scrap up some crazy wins. Is kind of how I feel.
Yeah, I see your point. I mean, I missed the boat on the Flournoy thing, and that goes back to what's Tom's name? I don't even know his full name. Tom
Pasquarello.
Tom Pasquarello was being so brazen about his love for Ryan Flournoy, and it pissed me off. So I just never wanted to pick him up, and now I'm feeling stupid because I could have just had him.
Yeah.
But with Isaiah Bond, I mean, Prue picked him up in August, so it's like
Yeah, that's true. That's a bad example.
There's not much I can do about that in September.
Just another tiny example, right? So, like, I drop P-Ryan. I don't have availability. I think that's a great pickup by Joey. Joey, tip the cap to you. Because at least
Thanks,
with
buddy.
him, it's like he's not great, right? But it's like he gives you somewhat of a floor. Like, he's going to get 3 catches. He's going to get 5 carries, right? So he scores 5 points last night. Caleb Johnson didn't get 1 touch. So it's like, but I get the idea of playing Johnson still because he's a big rookie, but he just hasn't panned out.
Yeah, I mean, he got a couple carries the week before, so I was kind of hoping
Yeah,
he would ride a little momentum over Dylan Sampson, who's like really hit or miss. But like back on the Pirine thing, so I don't value P. Ryan at all as a guy who's still on the back end of a rebuild because I don't think there's any scenario I can get a third round pick for him and he does nothing for my
Yeah.
team next year. So I just don't, I would never even pick him up unless I had like, a bunch
Yeah.
of roster spots, obviously. But like, I'd much rather have, like, I'll just take a look at my team. Like, I'd much rather have Parker Washington, who might score 0 or might score 4. But it's like Parker Washington's 23. I can at least
Yeah.
think in my mind, like, maybe he develops and plays better and then he becomes more important.
Yeah. No, I see it. And that like, I'm just saying, like, and you can kind of look at what Plans is doing, right? Plans had a dog shit team. He'll even admit it, right? So his team was horrible in the beginning. But I feel like he kind of got like floor players that kind of were consistent for him. Now he's getting a couple like bigger name players. And now what does he have, Joey? Like 3 wins?
Brian Plans is sitting at 3-3 with he's averaging like 110 points a game or something like that.
Yeah, I think like here's what I want to talk about, like rebuilds. Like you gotta kind of like at some point you gotta like win. And then it's like, all right, I'm gonna get another piece. Like again, not P. Ryan's a bad example, but I'm just saying, like for me, my team was horrible. And like suddenly Jerick McKinnon, I felt like I threw him in the lineup and I'm like, wait a minute, I feel like we're kind of starting to win here. Then we went on a run, lost in the chip. Kareem Hunt, at the time, not a great player, older than P. Ryan. He's getting some carries. But I feel like you get players, you scrap a couple wins, you start to get some confidence, and then you're like, you know what? Let me trade some of my picks and get a big player in here. Like, let me, trade a couple of veterans for a younger guy or a couple of younger guys for a veteran. And then suddenly you're like scratching at the playoffs, I feel like
and I feel like my team is coming into like that portion of its life cycle where last year, like if you look at my team last year before I traded 2 firsts for BTJ, my best player was Jordan Addison, and I had 2 quarterbacks that are like pretty mid, and then like basically nothing else. So I didn't feel like it was wise for me to try and go splurge on a player when I don't even have the foundation of a team. Like I don't have 3 players I could say are startable every week.
Let me hop in here quick. Yeah. All right. So, and I think this is where Ted might have some questions as well. I think Ted wants to know how you got to that point. You know what I mean? Like maybe Ted feels like maybe you valued the picks too much because you had a guy like ETN and Kelsey and all them. So maybe I just hopping in for Ted. That might be a question that Ted has. Like, how did you get to that point? And are you overvaluing picks? Yeah. Maybe that's how Ted feels. Ted, am I on the money with that?
Yeah, Peaches. I'll say like, because like like the Kelsey trade, like for Okonkwo, but like Okonkwo hasn't really been in the lineup. Like I know you've had a lot of picks. You can only play so many players, so it's like, yeah, it's great. What do you have now? Like 12 picks, but like you can only start like 9 guys. You know what I mean? And it's like at some point, like, dude, I'm gonna be honest. Like, if I was right now, again, like, I feel like you could take some of these picks, flip them, have some startable players. But I guess if you were to look back, what do you think of the trades? Like, do you feel like they held you back? I don't know.
I made some pretty suboptimal moves in the first year. And like one of the big lessons I think I learned is that some of these underperforming, or maybe not even underperforming, but backup running backs that I sold like basically as soon as I took over the team, like I sold low on every single one of those guys. Like I sold Jerome Ford for a third, and who's that backup Vikings running back that kind of
Alexander Madison.
Yeah, I sold Madison for a third, and like I thought I was making good moves. I'm like, these guys aren't really worth anything. I just didn't understand that like those guys are worth something, and things can change so fast. And then just the deals that I didn't do, like Prue offered me 2 seconds for Damian Harris, Joey offered me 2 seconds for AJ Dillon, and like I didn't take those deals for whatever reason, and I'm paying the price, years later that I missed out on, 3-4 assets. Like the Kelsey trade
Yeah.
was probably not. It wasn't good. I don't think it killed me because I was able to use that pick from Chris with like a significant amount of leverage to get Brian Thomas Jr.
All
So
right,
that's
yeah, that's
kind of
good.
how I
Yeah,
was able to save that. But like the original trade with Drescher, which Joey like killed me for at the time, and like I just didn't understand. Like that didn't work out for me. Like I didn't think that Drescher's team was going to be good right away, and Drescher and I swapped. What was it, 24 and 25 first round picks, and he gave me like a few assets, and I gave him a top 4 pick, and he gave me the 11th pick. So it's like
You gave him Bowers. Yep.
I gave him Bowers, and he gave me like Colston Loveland or something. I don't know. It's like some of these things just didn't work out the way that I saw it, and so I think my rebuild's been a little harder because of that. I mean, obviously, you're never going to make all good deals, but
yeah. Peaches, I guess my main question in all of this, right? So like, when do you like really see the rebuild taking off? And I guess like, what's holding you back, or what are you waiting for to like use all these picks you have to like either get somebody? Like, when do you see like this rebuild like rebuilding? I guess.
next year I'm
All
fully
right.
in on trying to make the playoffs.
I
Like
like.
we're
Well,
gonna
I
go
like.
into
See, I
the
like
start of
that.
next
I like that
season
confidence. That's good.
with 2 starting running backs, that are point scorers, and I think I've got my receivers like mostly figured out.
Yeah, I agree.
I need tight end to turn around a little bit, but like Colston Loveland was a top 10 pick. I expect him to be a startable tight end, even if he's not like a top 10 guy, basically at the start of next season. So I mean, next year, I'm pushing the chips in. Like I don't know that I'll
There you
draft
go.
all the guys that I have picks for in 2026. Like I've got an early first, which is my own. I've got a late first, which is Joey's, and then I have an early second, which is my own. So I have moves that can be made in the off season. But I mean, coming into this year, the only thing I had at running back that was theoretically going to score points was Tyrone Tracy, and then by week 3, I'm already
Yeah.
0-3. Now Scadaboo's popping off. So it's like, yes, now I have Scadaboo, who's like a good startable player, and I don't have another running back to go with it. Like, am I going to buy a running back at 0-6? Like, that doesn't
Did
feel like
you
the
get
right
rid
move.
of Tracy? Did you trade him away?
Yeah, I traded him because I
See, I
saw
think you
a
should have kept
video.
him, man.
For now, it looks good, but I saw a video of Brian Dable doing a post-game press conference, and he looked at Cam Scadaboo like it was his own son. He
Yeah.
looked like he loved
Yeah,
him, and I
true.
was like, "Damn, Tracy's done." Like, I mean, this is all I'm making it up, but
Yeah. But
and
dude,
then
that's what I mean.
the
Like with
Tracy
the
injury,
dynasty,
whatever.
like players like Tracy, man, you need like they're like they give you a manageable roster. Like if Scatterbook gets hurt, you have a starting running back. If you could play both of them and you'd score like triple the amount of what you scored the last 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Tracy reminds me of like not a Kareem, kind of like a Kareem Hunt or like a not an Algier. Algier is really good, but like you could even play those guys if you kept Tracy, and like that's not bad for a dynasty. That's what I'm saying, man. I just think in general, I feel like a lot of us can make. I've made some really stupid trades. Like I'm an idiot, man. Like I did the Amari Cooper trade that like did not work, but it was like a swing, and ultimately it helped me like get the trophy. And like this Josh Jacobs, I know I overpaid, but I feel like now I'm in like serious contention. And then somebody like Dom, hell of a trade. He takes a swing, he gets McCaffrey. So now he's right back up top. And then I feel like you got to make swings like that. And right now, with like, you have 11, 12 draft picks, dude. I think you should take a swing. And especially if you want to put the chips in for next year, draft a couple dogs and take a swing. But I guess, yeah, the Hunter Loeb starts those are hopefully in the past. I think if you really want to go all in, start to make some swings,
I'm just curious personally, did you make an offer for Josh Jacobs, Joe?
I did not make an offer for Josh Jacobs.
Have you gone after anyone on Scro's team?
I asked Scro about Tyreek Hill after the injury. I'd have to check my messages to see if I checked in on anything else.
That's fair. Why no Josh Jacobs? I'm just curious as we're doing this case study.
What week did Scro blow it up?
After this, past week, I think.
I mean, I guess if I was already 0-4 or 0-5.
Right, but Josh Jacobs isn't
is good, right? So it's not like Josh Jacobs disappears after this year. Like he, for most likely, will exist next year, but he could have a catastrophic injury, and picks cannot have a catastrophic injury. So if I already think I'm not making the playoffs this year, I'm not buying Josh Jacobs at what I viewed as a bit of a premium.
Hey, that's fair.
I wouldn't have paid what Ted paid, and I'm not saying that Ted paid too much or
I know
that he should have, but I wasn't going to beat that offer. And I guess you could say I didn't even try, which is valid.
Boys, keep going. I'm just typing an important email. I should be back in 30 seconds, but keep going. This is good. This is good content.
Yeah, no, listen, I get it. I just think the running backs can be hard to come by. So when one becomes available, it's a dicey situation if you want to gamble on them staying healthy or not. I was just curious. I was surprised that Matt didn't get him, to be honest. But
I thought Matt was going to be the front runner on the Josh Jacobs sweepstakes. I assume he put in a bid. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to ask him. Joe, as you hear what Teddy's saying, what are your thoughts? What do you want to grill Ted on for moves that he's done?
Yeah, absolutely. Roast me.
Well, back on the Tracy thing, I do think that's a way of thinking about it that I wasn't considering. So I'll have to think about these players more. How the backup running backs, just because some guy comes in and gets the start, doesn't mean that they're dead. Which I kind of was just viewing Tracy as an asset that could be going to zero soon. But that's probably not true because we've seen it before. You become a backup, you're Jalen Warren, and then somehow you're the starter. And
all right, I'm back.
Now you're worth more.
Yeah, I think
Ted's deals, I mean, I wouldn't have paid what you paid for Josh Jacobs, but your team is awesome right now, and getting another great guy is, I think in your situation, overpaying a little bit to get a Josh Jacobs, quote-unquote overpay, is good for you. Your team's sick, and you're going to give yourself a good chance to be not even just a playoff team,
I'm
but
just hoping to make history here. The overpaying, and Joey, I don't even know if we'll still do a podcast in 2 weeks, but another thing, I know I overpaid. I'll admit that 100%. But I'm trying to make picks for his players' history here and go back to back. All right, I'm trying to get to three chips in 4 years. All right, we're trying to shock the world. I will say, and Peaches, I'm not saying you absolutely should have traded for Josh Jacobs. I also overpaid because I was so afraid Padlo was gonna trade for Josh Jacobs. I think Padlo's team is one RB1 away from being a fucking problem. I think it already is a problem, but I was very surprised. I looked at everybody's teams before I sent an offer to Scro, and I was like, maybe Peaches will sniff around and give him a bag that I can't really match. And I was like, Padlo can give him a bag that I can't, that I could match, but I would have to really overpay. So that's why I overpaid for Jacobs. But Peaches, I will say, I don't think it would hurt if you got not a Josh Jacobs, but I don't even know if ETN's a good example, but I don't know. I feel like if you have one more running back with Scattaboo for now, and Caleb Johnson will work out hopefully in a year or two. But yeah, not to go off topic. Yeah, the Josh Jacobs trade, I definitely overpaid, but had to do that, I feel like.
Yeah, just as a team that I don't see myself making the playoffs, basically from the start of the season. Because to be a playoff team going into the season, I had to be sure that BTJ was going to be just as good, and he wasn't right away. So he's probably fine. And I had to be sure that Tet and Matthew Golden were not only startable but like good players. So there's just so much uncertainty going into the year. Like I didn't want to cash in my chips for a running back because I didn't think I was a playoff team. Like I'd rather hold the picks, which always ascend in value as you get closer to the draft, and then cash the chips in later.
See that? I'm glad you said, because that's almost like, Joey, we've talked about this too, right? The picks. Like you said earlier, how a pick can't get injured, right? Like obviously any player in the league can be injured at any point. Jacobs could get injured, Saquon, Scattaboo, right? We all know that.
Yeah, anyone.
But I feel like when we're looking at picks like this, I feel like a statement like that is like, all right, I'm going to compete in like 2 years maybe, and if not, like another 2 years. I feel like when we're focusing on picks that much, we're constantly like delaying the rebuild or like when we're going to compete. And it's like, I don't know, man. I look at fantasy football like anyone can beat anybody. You got to just try to win now. Like, why not? And with the big focus on picks like that, at what point do you like flip the switch? You know, it's like, I don't know, Joey. Does that make sense? Was that what you were trying to say?
I think what Teddy's trying to say is, I think Teddy's overarching point, and he said it with like Tracy and Joe. Me and you've talked about this before because you texted me about something. At some point, you have to have tangible like value in actual players on your team, because you can get good value pick wise in a trade, but if all you have is picks, you know, it's never, you can have a stud like BTJ, but it's not gonna, it doesn't matter if all you have is picks around him, I think is what Teddy's trying to say. So
yeah, and I think there's a balance to that, because like I'm sitting here and what Joey's referencing is that there's been people in my inbox trying to buy Jordan Addison, and like Jordan Addison's good. Maybe he's not going to be as good with the JJ McCarthy experience.
I think you got to keep him for
like
6
the
years.
value that I'm being offered is proper. Like if I traded him in a vacuum, no one would say, "Oh my God, you got fleeced for Jordan Addison." But it's like at some point I have to fill out a lineup.
Yeah. No, exactly.
With players, and so like I talked to Joey about it. I'm like, this. I don't think this makes sense. Like I have to have him next year.
Yeah.
If my team's going to be any good. Like a 2027 pick is not going to help my team.
That's what I mean, man. Yeah, that's good. That's good, man. That's like what, because that's like, I think you need Addison. You need gold. Like I'm looking at your team right now. Like, dude, I'm not even kidding. I feel like just a little more depth, like some startable running backs, like a Tracy, like I don't know, like a 6-point floor, like roster fillers, you know? Like if somebody gets hurt, you plug him in. Like Josh Downs or a Judy or like
why don't you trade me Josh Downs then?
I think what Teddy's saying is I think what Teddy's point here is like you are consistently shipping off value and it's not bad value and you're getting picks, but then you're just kind of like sitting on the picks and then you're waiting for them to appreciate come draft day. But why not take a swing with some of these picks? Not necessarily even the first, I think is what he's saying. Like you turn Tracy into a second. Why not use that second for someone who might be underperforming and like, he can come in and get you 5 points a week, but also they can too appreciate, you buy a guy who's underperforming and someone wants to get off him who's younger. I think that's what Teddy wants to see from you. He wants to see you not just sit on the picks, but try and take some swings, even if they're smaller, so that the roster's better, but also they can still appreciate and get better. Teddy, is that what you're kind of saying?
Yes, and Joe, before you respond, really quick though, and this is a great example of I know it might be idiotic, and I know I was very passionate about not getting rid of Judy. A player right now that I don't give a shit, I will not trade is Josh Downs. And that's why, because I know in 3 years, I'm probably going to have to rebuild. Like I got some aging players. In my opinion, that's like, all right, at least I have him in 3 years, hopefully Thornton something. So like, I don't know, like pick a couple of young players that are locks. Like my opinion, I would not move Jordan Addison at all if I were you. Obviously, don't move Tet, don't move Thomas. But go ahead, Peaches. My bad. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything to add on that.
Will we see you make a swing on some of these young guys with these seconds, or are you just going to ride out the year?
I will probably ride out the year, but that doesn't mean that I won't trade those picks like in the off season or going into next year. I mean, I'm talking deals a lot of the time.
Ted, what are your thoughts on that?
Look. I think I really like what you said. Like you want to like put the chips in and win next year. Because again, man, I was like, when I this all started with the Scatterbo, I was like, does he just not want to win right now? Like I was confused, but it's good. I think again, man, Addison, Tet, who's the other guy? Oh, Thomas. You have startable quarterbacks like Scatterbo, man. I think you're a couple pieces away, man. I think, man, if you're a little more aggressive with the picks and you turn them into like startable players, I feel like you could really quickly kind of turn it around and kind of do what Plans has done in the last like year, I guess.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the plan for next year is get two more guys that are startable at running back. So you got like a bye week or an injury guy, and then I just have to hope the receivers appreciate and the tight end comes through for me. I have a few options at tight end that I feel like should be startable. It hasn't worked out so far this year, but Isaiah Likely rolls his ankle and then Lamar's hurt, and all of a sudden 6 weeks go by and he's scored 4.5 points.
Dude, I feel like you could just watch. You'll probably beat me in 2 weeks, and you could beat anyone. I really think you could beat anybody.
I beat Dom last year, 140 points almost.
Dude, I'll give you another time. I feel like why not just play a Conquo every week? Doesn't he get like 8 points every week?
I have been playing a Conquo most weeks, but I thought maybe we'd try the Aronde Gadsden thing. Might be a little fun. He had 8 targets last week, so. First time leading the team in snap share last week, I think, as well. So he's getting on the field more. If QJ comes out that he's playing this weekend, I might go back to a Conquo because I think Huge steals his target share back.
Real thing to just interject here. Teddy's not happy with your defense either. Teddy, do you want to touch on that a little bit?
I looked at Granderson. I had mentioned that because get a pass rusher, but I saw early on he had a couple sacks. I feel like he's more like a nose tackle though, right? Like go get a dog like pass rusher that gets you some deflections, some sacks, some tackle for losses.
Well, I was kind of hoping that number 1 overall pick Trayvon Walker would develop into something like that. But I mean, we'll reevaluate that. I'm really happy with Dayon Henley. I think he's a fucking stud.
Yeah,
and
he's good.
We'll have to see if Newbin picks it up. He's kind of just like 4 points.
Oh, dude, Newbin. You got Newbin starting. I don't know, man.
You're not a Newbin guy?
Know. No, I honestly, I don't think he's very good anymore. I like him though. I want to root for him, but that Saints game, he looked horrible.
And then I like Josh Metellus. He's had some good seasons in the past, and you can play him at DB and linebacker, which I think he's the only guy in Dynasty that can do that. So
I have to ask Christian Benford. Why did we pick up Christian Benford? What was the angle there?
I was at the game. I was hoping he'd get a pick off of Penix.
All right, that makes sense.
It's nothing like
I thought it'd be sick if
man.
Christian Benford got a fucking pick 6 while I'm at the game.
Dude, there's that game when Giants Dolphins and I played Dom and Okereke tipped a 100-yard pick 6 to Pinnock. Dude, that's a feeling I'm still chasing, man.
Yeah, I need that. Else. Also, with the Christian Benford thing, I had Newbin and I didn't realize that I think Metellus was on bye or something, and Newbin played on Thursday on my bench, so I had to pick someone up.
Yep. Yeah, that looks like that's what happened.
And I don't know. I feel like the DBs are a crapshoot for like a single week, so I was like, whatever, shoot for the moon.
Let's yeah, what else? I feel like that was a solid, respectful pod there. I don't really think what else? What else could we Joey, is there anything else you wanna ask us?
Let me think. I got about 5 minutes.
Yeah, you got 5.
3 years from now, who has the better season, Teddy or Joe Rainville? Who gets more wins?
Oh, wow.
I think I do, hands down.
Wow, I respect that. See, I like that confidence, dude. I like
Look,
that.
Ted's not in other leagues with me. I'm not afraid to make moves. Like I've sold my first in juicers, I've sold it in distinction, and I sold it in Pop Squad. So in every other league that I've been in, I've sold my first to make my team a little bit better for that year. It's just when your team is so bad, the scarcity of your assets just makes you think a little bit different.
All right, dude. Yeah, again, man. I think your lineup, the first 6 weeks, I was genuinely, I was like, are you purposely trying to play 70-point lineups and think like a loss would hurt your draft odds? Because I really think you could play like a 100-point lineup every week.
Well, going forward, we're going to be there because Cam Scadaboo's in the starting lineup, and it seems like Brian Thomas has let the yips pass him by.
Yeah. All right. Good. Good, man.
Yeah, whoever's got me on the schedule the next 3 weeks, you got to be a little worried that your guys need to come correct.
I know, and a part of me is like, I should have bit my tongue until week 8 because I play you in 2 weeks. But
well, it looks like all my best players are on bye that week, so we'll see.
Perfect. That's perfect, dude. Hey, look, boys, a hell of a pod. I got a lot of love and respect for both of you, the whole league. This was good. This is a good picks first players conversation.
That's right.
I
Let's do
agree.
another one.
We will.
Joey, will we do a Halloween pod in a couple weeks?
we will get you. We'll get you a Halloween pod, buddy.
Dude,
Don't you worry.
Yeah, I was shocked, man. Padla didn't trade for Jacobs, man. That was like, I was shocked by that.
I think Matt's living in the margins. I think Matt's got to take a swing here. That's just my opinion.
I think Padla shot like that would have been my dark horse championship winner if he trades for Josh Jacobs. But right now, I got Dom and Joey in the chip.
What do you think of the Hurts deal? What do you think about Hurts coming home?
I love Pipe. I don't know why Pipe. Look, it was a fair deal. I just I don't know. Dude, you know, I think I've said this, Joey. I've told you, texted you for 4 years. Jalen Hurts is one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL, but he will always remain a top 3 fantasy quarterback with these rushing touchdowns. So yeah, I think you just secured a 20-point floor in your quarterback position. Well, Joey, this is why I want to do a pod this week too. Not to ramble, but my God, Jackson Dart made Jalen Hurts look like a Pop Warner quarterback on Thursday. He looked awful, but he's going to give you 20 points every week. So it's a good move by you.
Joe, what do you think?
Sorry, I was trying to read an email from my boss.
Fuck him.
I think the Jalen Hurts deal was fine.
Okay.
I don't necessarily understand the logic of trading for him and then trading him back, shifting all the assets around.
Well, so pieces, yeah. Trade's fine, but the logic is like doesn't make sense. Fair trade on like strange logic. Well,
I guess if they're fair on both ends, then no harm, no foul. But I
frequently buy players back, to be fair. I bought Kenny Walker back. I bought JMO back to begin with. Let me see if there's anyone else on my team.
I mean,
I bought Zay Flowers twice, or I bought Zay Flowers back. Sometimes I just buy these guys back, you know? They can fly elsewhere, and then they can come on home. And then they can get shipped off again. Fluid, flexible.
Yeah. And I mean, to defend Pipe, too, like, I guess I could kind of see where he's coming from, right? So quarterback, as long as you have an average quarterback, like Rodgers just gave him 22 against me, and he's got Purdy, so he's like, he covered his bases there. But again, I think someone like Hurts is always going to be like, again, even though he like, I think he sucks, he's always going to be like a top 10 fantasy quarterback. You know?
yeah, I need one of those.
Yeah, dude, man, Trevor Lawrence, I've said for years, you guys know I'm a big Daniel Jones fan, like, I'm like, what can this guy do that Daniel Jones can't? I think like he's one of the I think that Chiefs game, man, Monday night, I think he got so lucky. He looked like a clown. Like, he fumbled on the goal line. He tripped on the goal line. Like,
yeah, it's always an experience with
lucky.
Trevor.
Yeah.
He had a good fantasy season, like, once upon a time. I'm hoping it's in there again somewhere, but...
I think Joe's biggest failure as a manager is still rostering both of those quarterbacks through this deep rebuild. That's just my opinion. I would have shipped off Kyler. I would have picked one and shipped the other one off long ago.
Yeah, then I'd have to go out and buy someone, you know how hard that
How old
is.
is Kyler?
I mean, but, like, you don't even need... All right, so... dude, the QB thing kills me. Why, as a rebuilder, do you need 2 quarterbacks? If you've already said you're not trying to win, right? Why not bring in the assets that are harder to come by? Like the running back or something. Why hold 2 quarterbacks? This is for another pod. It makes no sense because 2 quarterbacks is a luxury. It is not a necessity. It is a luxury. And if you're rebuilding and you're already saying you're not like bringing in certain guys, then you're playing a luxurious game. But it's like 2 quarterbacks does you nothing. We see it all the time. Rebuilders will go out, like they'll spend valuable assets, like you said, scarcity. At some point, Kyler was worth a first plus, and T-Law could have nedged you a first, but now they're just going down in value.
Yeah, I missed the boat on the Kyler deal because Kyle and I were pretty close, and then he ended up buying Lamar instead. So
I also offered a first in Calvin Ridley once. So I think rebuilders need to take a better approach.
That's crazy.
I did. I think rebuilders need to change their mind on quarterbacks. That's just my opinion.
Would you agree, right? I agree with that with rebuilders. You don't really need 2 quarterbacks. But for contenders, dude, I 1,000% think like having a QB1 on your bench is so much better than going up against them. Like I was telling HP, and I'm glad HP has Flacco. It's working out. Like, could you imagine if I just gave him Daniel Jones? I would be like kicking myself because it's like he's scoring 150, and then imagine if he's getting 20 from DJ on top of it.
That'd be tough, yeah. All right, fellas, I gotta take off. We'll deep dive into that in another pod.
All right, take it easy, gents. Ted, we gotta play some Madden soon.